It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Welcome to Divas That Care Network. I am Joyce Benning, and I will be your host for this absolutely invigorating, robust lifestyle show. I want to thank each one of our listeners that have tuned in live today and the ones that will be listening to the recording on the podcast. I am so very grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. And you are all in for one amazing show today, as I have with me my incredible returning diva, Lady Apona. And her and I are going to chat about the 3-3-3 flow principle. Oh my, is this going to be one show filled with knowledge and fun? So listeners, I would like for you to welcome Lady Apona to Robust Lifestyle Show. And Lydia, would you please introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Well, hello, Joyce. It's always an honor and pleasure to be on your show again. I'm loving our conversation, so thank you for the opportunity to share, and hello to all the wonderful listeners. As some of you may know, I consider myself a Renaissance woman, high-performance wellness coach, healer, thought leader, horse advocate, and founder of AponaHealing.com, where I bring together over 30 years of my passion, expertise, and wisdom in holistic healing into 4 pathways for every stage of personal development to help you heal, grow, and evolve and live a centered, connected, and conscious life. And I began my journey in holistic healing over 50 years ago when I started healing my own chronic illnesses that I was born with. And then horses came to me in dreams then, but also especially in my late 20s during what we call in astrology my Saturn return. So I have been beautifully guided by our wonderful divine horse spirits and other angelic beings who choose to participate, and I continue to help humans and horses heal through my coaching, where we're talking about Taoist non-attachment and unconditional support. So last time we talked about my love method, listen, observe, validate, empower, which is really a foundational approach to creating trust, right? To building trust and not having attachment and expectation to other people's outcomes and journeys. And then today I'm going to share what I created and what I discovered. The name I created, the 3-3-3 flow principle, arose out of my own healing and personal development and my own personal growth, and is really an illustration of one of my ancient universal principles. When you live something, you know it to be true. So each time we have our own experience and we live something, we want to have relationship with that and own it as part of our inner power. And this is what happened to me with the 3-3-3 flow principle. As a result of really focusing on my own journey, on my own self, and this happens for everybody in their own healing and personal development, you're able to better discern and deflect external stressors of life, and what I call mastering your inner power, really being more centered, connected, and conscious within yourself. And again, by focusing on your life and your priorities and not getting distracted or drained by temptations or habits that may not be helpful and the circumstances around you, you no longer absorb as many negative energies or energies that don't support you, and you can more easily let go and let live, as the expression goes. And so we enter into a flow state often without knowing it, the stronger we become within ourselves, and life just becomes a whole lot easier.
Oh, wow. Oh, I loved all of that. That was just so beautiful, and I love how you've had over 30 years of the holistic healing you've experienced. Like you said, when you live something, you know it to be true, and that's what helps your inner power shine. Oh, I so love that. That so resonated. And how you said you're guided by the horse spirits and the angelic forms, because that just brings to my mind, before each show, I always say, okay, angel spirits, just let the words flow that the universe needs us to speak today, what the listeners need to be hearing. So it just so all resonated with how I feel, and I just love it. And to no longer absorb the energies that support us, and to focus on your life. And to me, focusing on your life is you become heart-centered, and then it all starts to flow so easily. So those were just some takeaways that I had from just the brief introduction and talking about getting started into the 3-3-3 flow principle. So, Lidia, I'm just going to let you take it from there.
Well, that was beautiful and so insightful. And we all live in a flow of universal energy. And this is where ultimately we find our greatest power and our greatest ease of living. So even though circumstances in our lives or in the world may be difficult, we don't have to own it to the point where we become drained or really distressed or paralyzed with fear and uncertainty. And when we recognize that we're all one in the flow of universal energy and that we always have support, as you're saying, then it's easier to not have that heavy feeling of being burdened. And I know for myself, one part of my journey was releasing guilt of not being able to do more for everyone and the animals, and I should be doing more. And that can actually weigh you down because sometimes we feel so connected that, and we feel the weight of the struggles of humanity and of the planet and of the animals. It can block our flow, right? It can block our flow. And so the more we can be healthy, the more we can feel empowered, the more we can shine, then that will naturally raise the vibration of the planet and naturally radiate out to everyone in our lives, and so including our animals. And so where the 3-3-3 comes in is I like to bring awareness to the fact that as you heal, grow, and evolve, what used to take, let's say, 3 months, as an example, to process and clear from your mind, from your energy, then suddenly, effortlessly becomes 3 weeks. And then the same type of stressors or burdens may arise, and then suddenly you realize, wow, that only took me 3 hours to process that. And then it becomes 3 minutes, and then it becomes 3 seconds, and then eventually it doesn't affect you at all because your aura is so strong from within, from your own personal growth, that you literally discern and deflect spontaneously without having to do deep processing, which is good to do. I mean, there are things that we have to understand in order to resolve them and release them. But ultimately, it just becomes like your shield of light, it bounces off of you, and that creates more energy for you to live your life and your passion, vision, and then shine your light and continue to then help others, including yourself. So then you're no longer really burdened or drained by the experiences and circumstances that don't directly support you. Yeah, you can still have compassion and respect. And compassion and respect are really the foundations of unconditional love. But we need to be strong and clear and connected in our own state of being to be able to share unconditionally without being drained. And this is a huge challenge for those of us who have big hearts and who are empaths and who do feel so much in the world.
Oh, how true that is. So very true, because releasing the guilt, I think that is something that a personal experience, we seem to as humans want to hold that guilt inside of us. Maybe we felt we didn't do enough for an animal that is crossed, or we're not doing enough for the animals that we have currently, or for others, or for nature. We always have we come in with a guilt feeling, and I feel that blocks, like you said, it blocks our flow so much when we concentrate on that guilt. Where for me personally, if you can turn that guilt around and start to look at the positive, something that comes to my mind immediately, it's a pretty simple example, is I would love to have a big barn for my horses. And then I'm like, okay, I've got these small little sheds. They can get in, they can get out of the weather. I can feed them inside of there. They have shelter. So rather than having a guilt that you don't have them a big barn to come into, I'm thankful and grateful for the small sheds that I have that can bring them out of the weather. So that is just something that came to my mind on a very simple term of releasing the guilt of not having what I would like to have, but be thankful for what I do have for them. So that, to me, you can turn it around and make a positive out of that guilt feeling, and you will be amazed how it starts to unblock you, and you can just flow with that good energy and not be burdened down by what you think you should have for them. So that was one example that came to my mind, Lydia, when you were talking about releasing the guilt.
Oh, magnificent. So turning guilt into gratitude. That's so powerful, Joyce. And then we free up our energy. So, we're talking about channeling messages or channeling energy or being guided in a flow. And there it is. There's the flow, right? There's the flow state that we're all already a part of. And then we can, as they say in self-development, get in our own way. We can overthink. And we're all guilty of doing that in some way, shape, or form because we're humans. And especially those of us who have big hearts and are in our heart center, but cultivating that even more in a grounded way, we see the potential. I see the possibilities. I know what is, how it could be. And maybe that comes from an ancient memory of how life once was on the planet, before so much struggle. But it's a yearning for me. I can feel it. I can taste it. I can experience it as if it's already and the joy, the quality of life for all of us. It's not to say things will ever be perfect, but and for me, I get frustrated because I want it to happen now. And then part of our self-mastery is, as you're saying, just, breathing into our center and looking at our lives with the gratitude for what we can offer, for what we can share. And then that expands our capacity to be able to keep going in that flow direction, to do more for ourselves and for others. And so as we become more, we live more, and then we can do more, but in a flow without overwhelm and without the variety of thoughts and emotions that can block that flow. And it's really quite a new way of looking at things, because in high performance, it's often looked at as, your habits and your mindset, and, where there's a will, there's a way, and mind over matter, which are all great foundational aspects of high performance. But to me, high performance is high performance wellness, where we stay healthy, we don't burn out, we don't which we can all burn out. I'm not saying that people don't ever burn out, but we don't push so hard that we lose connection to ourselves. Mm-hmm. And this is part of being aware of living in flow. And the beauty of being conscious of this 3-3-3 flow principle is that you're already creating ease. Things are becoming easier in achieving what you want to achieve as you heal, grow, and evolve. And then we want to have that consciousness around it and then honor and value the quality of life we're creating for ourselves and others. It's so easy to just keep going, and there's another mission, there's another challenge on the horizon to make life better for everyone, but we want to stop and reflect that we are doing it, and what used to really cause us a lot of distress may not anymore. And that's the 3-3-3 flow principle, is an acknowledgement of our own healing and growth.
Oh, and how true that is. When it all starts from within you, because when you start to heal, grow, and evolve, you will be amazed at what you can offer to others, to the whole universe. But first, you have to get yourself where you can heal, grow, and evolve, and let that light shine out. Let that heart and that unconditional love with the compassion and respect for all come out, and let it shine. And I saw something the other day, it's not exact, but something about let your life challenges become some of your strengths. And I thought, oh my, that has so much saying to it, because yes, the challenges that we sometimes face and the challenges that we have faced, rather than let them bring you down, let them show your strengths to this world. Let you, on your inner self, pull out the strengths that it's bringing out, kind of like pulling out the positives of a challenging situation. Because if you stop and look, there is usually some positive you can pull out of it. Because even when my little female dog was having health challenges, the positive that came out of it was how we grew closer together, and how I could connect with her and know what she was hanging on for, what she needed from me. And just finding that positive rather than concentrating on the sorriness of her health challenges, bringing out the good part. And that's what brought her and I so close, where I felt she lived out the life she needed to, even with her challenges. So there's always some way, to me, you can pull out that positive that will help you get through and let that flow go. So let the energy flow from within you.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Joyce. And challenges becoming strengths, and that beautiful story that you shared. And the way I started to look at things was, this is the experience I'm meant to have. That's what you were saying. Mm-hmm. And so are those in my life, right? So whether they're humans or horses or pets, if I had other resources, let's say, or opportunities to get to the level that I aspire to right now, I may in the future, but right now, then I wouldn't be learning from the actual process of being able to know thyself and being able to hold the space in that way. And it's the experience that I was meant to have, and with those in my life. And so whether we provide certain things for our animals that we want to or not, the fact that we're loving them and doing the best we can for them from our heart and our soul, and manifesting that in the material plane through our daily actions, that's the experience they were meant to have. It's like a soul contract, I guess, right? And as you said, coming together in the midst of the struggle is the gift of that struggle. And I know when I was very young, and as you all know, I was born with chronic health conditions that were very challenging, and I would sometimes be bedridden and in chronic pain for days, and I would lie in my bed, and I would actually separate my mind from my body. In holistic health, they often talk about uniting your mind and your body, and I would observe myself, and I would say, I am in pain. No, my body, sorry, cut that back. My body is in pain, but I am not. Mm-hmm. Now, there's severe pain where you're just in too much pain that you don't have that space, right, to have that separation. And then I would breathe, and I would fill myself with gratitude. I was like, wow, I've got 2 arms, and I've got 2 legs, and I have a warm bed, and I have a roof, and I have access to food. And isn't this wonderful that I have this much? I can see, I can hear, I can taste. And there's so many people in the world that don't have that. And that would fill me up with so much energy. And then I knew that this too shall pass, and that my cycles of pain as a child always were cycles. And I would sort of come out of it, whether it was a few hours or days, and you may have to recover from the exhaustion of that. But I always knew that everything that has a beginning has an end, and that's another one of my universal principles I work with in coaching. But it released the overthinking. It released the blockage to flow, because that gratitude for being alive in the midst of difficult circumstances allowed me to keep flowing forward, right? And allowed me to then get out of bed eventually and start to take action to support myself, rather than dwelling on what I had just experienced.
Mm-hmm. Oh, how true that is, because the gratitude, once again, we come back to gratitude, to finding what to be grateful for. And gratitude, I always say, totally changes your attitude. And it really does. You just gave that example of how you started to focus on what you could be grateful for, and how it totally changed, and how the energy started to flow from you. Oh, that was a beautiful example to give to our listeners on practicing the gratitude and the gift of the struggle, and that this beginning has an end. And something the angels have always told me, maybe the guilt, the things that you feel in life, look at them as stepping stones in life to get you where you are today, and to be grateful, to find the gratitude in those struggles that you have gone through. Oh, what a great example, Lidia.
Well, and I love what you said about guilt as a stepping stone, because it's really like an activation if you look at it as moving forward. So when I feel guilt about what's happening, let's say in the world of horses, for example, and I'm not, how could I do more? It's a motivator for me. We can turn guilt into gratitude, and then we can use it as an activation and as a stepping stone. And so turning something that could drain us or block us into something that activates and empowers us. And then it's always important to come back to ourselves and self-reflect and see how we actually are moving forward. Is sometimes we don't feel like it because we just want to have things better for everyone. But right? But we are actually moving forward. And if we reflect back, that's why journaling is so great, or an opportunity to have dialogue and see where we were in our life before, even in terms of our relationship with ourselves, even in terms of how we feel about ourselves. And this is all part of the 3-3-3 flow principle, is relationship with ourselves and cultivating a greater sense of who we are, and recognizing that it's as we commit to our healing and growth, we are creating a better life in a variety of ways.
Oh, so very true. Oh, how beautifully said. Well, Lidia, as I knew this show would go so quickly, I feel we've barely touched on a few of the flow principles, but you have shared such valuable information to our listeners today. So before we close, would you please share with our listeners the best ways to connect with you, Lidia?
Sure, my website, aponahealing.com, and we have a wonderful newsletter and emails that go out and free resources. I have a free ebook, 10 Tools to Survive and Thrive in Uncertain Times, and I have a YouTube channel and a podcast where I share lots of free resources and information, and also my personal page on Facebook. I am on a variety of social media channels, but to interact with me more directly is my personal page on Facebook.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you so for sharing that and all your knowledge with us. And I must ask, will you please be a guest again on Robust Lifestyles so we can chat and you can share more with our listeners?
Well, thank you so much, Joyce. It's just like Christmas coming on your show. It's like a gift. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, and I would be honored to come on again, and as we build community to support each other through these changing times and remember who we are as high spiritual beings, and to release and let go and live in our natural flow. Oh, yes. Oh, I love that, too, how you ended. That was great. And, I'm so excited and grateful that you want to be back on Robust Lifestyles because we have so much to chat about and you have so much more to share. So, Lidia, until we chat again on Robust Lifestyles, I want to wish you the most magical times ahead. Well, same to you, Joyce, especially at this magical time of year. And you are the goddess of creating magic in our lives. So thank you for that, and thank you for creating this beautiful platform.
Oh, you are so welcome, and thank you again for all the kind words. You are magical yourself, and together we create the magic.
Absolutely. We're all co-creating together, everyone listening, and whether we see each other or not, we're one energy field, so we're all supporting each other.
Oh, how true that is. Very, very true. And with that, I want to thank each one of our listeners to listening to this absolutely amazing show with our incredible diva, Lady Apona. Please share this show with your family and friends and check out all the other hosts and their shows on divasthatcare.com. And remember, on the 333 flow principle, heal, grow, and evolve. Turn your guilt into gratitude, and it will help to activate and empower each one of you and be in that beautiful relationship of yourself. And remember to find the gift in the struggle. Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful message and knowledge that Lidia shared with us today. And to each of you, have a very magical day. Remember, be kind to all. And give your animals that great big extra hug and share your love with them as they so deserve it. And until we connect again on Robust Lifestyles, stay strong and healthy.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.